Welcome to Lesson 3, Part 1.5. Theorems and converses about parallel lines. We are still assuming they're parallel, and this lesson is actually all about theorems. We'll do converses in Parts 2 and Parts 2.5. So, to begin, corresponding angles postulate. When you looked at the corresponding angles, this is what I was hoping you would see. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then corresponding angles are congruent. I hope that you saw that all the corresponding angles on GeoGebra were congruent. So, for example, here, angle 1 would be congruent to angle 5, 2 congruent to 6, 3 congruent to 7, and 4 congruent to 8. Okay, the next theorem is the alternate interior angles theorem. This is what I hope you saw whenever you looked at the alternate interior angles. That if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. Which would mean that in this picture, angle 4 would be congruent to angle 6, and angle 3 would be congruent to angle 5. The next theorem is the alternate exterior angles theorem. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate exterior angles are congruent. So in this picture here, we would see that angle 1 would be congruent to angle 8, and angle 2 would be congruent to angle 7. So for corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent, and alternate exterior angles are congruent, as long as our two parallel lines are cut by a transversal. The last type are these same side interior angles, and here you saw that they weren't congruent from the first video, but I hope that you noticed that if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the same side interior angles are supplementary. I was hoping you saw that they added up to 180. So in this picture, we see that the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 6 should equal 180, and the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180. And again, all of these theorems work as long as our two lines are parallel to each other and they're cut by a transversal. So this only works if we have two parallel lines cut by a transversal.